Hey guys, this is Chetan,
And this is Abby.
and welcome back to the Unprofessionals. So, we just had week 5 of the college football season come through, and this was one of the most anticipated weeks of college football. We reviewed a bunch of games. We thought, hey, there's a chance that Alabama loses. There's a chance that Georgia Arkansas is one of the better games of the year. And all of a sudden, things did not go as expected, but also went as expected with some of these games. So we're going to start off with number 2 Georgia at home taking on number 8 Arkansas. And Arkansas was pretty much a buzzsaw. You know, they beat number 15 Texas. They beat number 7 Texas A&M the week prior. Then they come into Georgia, and Georgia whoops them 37-0. And this is with a backup quarterback because JT Daniels did not play. And they were led by a rushing attack that took 56 attempts, nearly 300 yards, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a defense that just would not break. That pretty much summarizes what we saw from, I think they also had a block punt or block.
You're right. You're right.
They also had a block punt in this game. And so it just, all 3 facets of the game was just clicking for Georgia. On the other end, Arkansas, I already said the numbers. It wasn't, they didn't have their best showing. They just couldn't stop the Georgia offense. So, Abby, what are your thoughts?
Georgia I picked them to win the whole thing. I am more and more confident every week I see them play. They got NFL players. Bro, 37-0 with your backup QB. Their quarterback, Stenson Bennett, threw for 72 yards. That's it. They ran the ball 56 times for 273 yards. That's 5 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns against a very good Arkansas defense. And what did Georgia's defense do? I think this is the best defense by far. College football, Georgia, by far. That's why they're going to win it all. Arkansas threw for 87 yards. They ran the ball 30 times for 75 yards. That's 2.5 yards a carry. Bro, there's nothing else to be said here. People thought Arkansas had a chance in this game. This was their biggest this is the biggest showing for both teams. Georgia is going to the national championship. I don't see anyone that can beat them in their schedule. I don't see anyone that can score 20 points on them. Forget beat them. They've given up in their last – they have back-to-back shutouts, obviously.
They've
given up a total – oh, yeah, I think you told me this. They gave up a total of 30 points in 5 games. That's 6 points per game given up. And one of those was Clemson. I understand Clemson is not Clemson, but still. And the only reason why week 1, Georgia only scored 10 points, they had almost half of all their starting receivers out. And Clemson, even though Clemson's offense is awful, they still have a very good defense in Clemson. So give Clemson that credit at least. So Georgia, they play Auburn. We're going to go over that tomorrow. I don't think Auburn has a chance in hell. Kentucky at home, no chance. Florida, no chance. Even though Florida's ranked still, they have no chance. Missouri, come on. Tennessee, no. And then after that, come on. So they could lose in the SEC championship game. It doesn't matter. Them, Alabama, are near locks to make the playoff again. And just like we saw a couple years ago, we saw Georgia and Alabama in the championship game, one of the best championship games I've ever seen. Jalen Hurts gets benched, Tua comes in, and that's when the legend of Tua begins in Alabama, especially in OT. Not the Hail Mary, but the touchdown throw to Devontae Smith, freshman to freshman. And that's how both of them started their Alabama careers. But all in all, Georgia's legit. If there's any super team, there is no real super. There's only 2 super teams. This is one of them. Other one we're going to get into in just a few moments.
It's actually, their defense is actually far more impressive than you made it out.
In my opinion, I completely agree with you. I think Alabama is obviously great, but this is different level defense. They have their D tackles are like they combine for 700 pounds. They're different. They move like ballerinas, and there's 350-pound gorillas. No disrespect. I'm not trying to say anything negative about them. They're monsters, bro. They're monsters.
They actually only given up 23 total points.
I thought I would wait. Huh? Wasn't it?
They gave up 3 points against Clemson. They gave up 7 against.
I looked at that wrong. I added a 10 with a 7. You're right. They've only given up 23 points. Yeah, you're right. Oh my god. Holy shit.
So that's 4.6 points a game.
Yeah, bro. This is the best defense I've ever seen so far in that I've watched. Obviously, I got to see the best offense 2 years ago with LSU. This could go down as the best defense I've ever seen in college football. Obviously, I'm not 50 or 60. I'm not talking about the good old days. I'll talk about in my period right now. Like Michigan has so-called a great defense this year. Alabama has a great defense. Iowa has a very, 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 very good defense. Penn State has a very good defense. Bro, they are not even close to what Georgia got.
They're pretty much NFL level defense right now.
They have at least probably 6 dudes that are going to the NFL. Couple first rounders.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean and Devontae Wyatt each combined for 1.5 sacks.
Their D tackles are monsters.
Georgia recorded back-to-back shutouts in SEC games for the first time since 1980. That is the last time they won a national championship.
Good foreshadowing. I know I picked them. I think you picked them. Oklahoma.
I think I had them facing each other. I think I picked Oklahoma, but obviously now.
I think we had the same matchup.
We had the same exact matchup.
I picked Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, I picked Oklahoma thinking, they'd still be the Oklahoma of old where they could put up points. They can't put up points anymore.
Next game, we had number 14 Michigan versus Wisconsin. The line. This is why I hate looking at lines. I hate it. Look at the game. Forget the damn line. Who's going to win the game? Michigan. We both picked Michigan. Wisconsin is booty. Straight booty. They're just living off the name Wisconsin. They can play defense, and that's it. That's all they can do. Michigan, the game started off slow. I think it was a close game at halftime. It was let me just see. It was 13-10 at halftime. It was 20-10 after the third quarter, and then they just got Molly up in the fourth quarter. They scored 18 points. Wisconsin at that point was like, "Yo, bro, we have no chance here. We're done." So, Michigan wins the game. They're 14th. They're undefeated, and yet I am not even close to impressed because they have beaten. Nobody. People start to hey, listen. Obviously, we're both from Rutgers, alumni, represent our school. They have very bright future. Greg Schiano's doing a fantastic job there. They beat Rutgers by 7 at home. Ohio State just went to Rutgers and beat them by 50. So, Michigan impressed me nothing. They did what they're supposed to do. They won. Congratulations. They were a road so-called underdog. I don't know why people keep giving this Wisconsin team respect. They deserve none. Their offense is atrocious. And Michigan, they should be on alert because they have just passed the easy part of their schedule. Now it's when the real test begins. Chetan, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, on top of the reason the line is so high, I just read it right now, is this is the first win that the Wolverines have had at Camp Randall Stadium since 2001. So they're pretty much living.
You know how I feel about those trends.
Exactly my point. Shit. Exactly my point here is that, the line came off of simply the fact that Wisconsin has dominated Michigan whenever they came to Wisconsin. So obviously that's where the line kind of happened. But yeah, no, I completely agree here is we just saw if we're going to use a litmus test if we're going to use our own alma mater as a litmus test to see how good Michigan is and how good Ohio State is. Michigan is literally nothing compared to Ohio State, who we just talked about before this is, if Ohio State just whoops everyone from now on, they'll be back in the top 4. So anything that Michigan does right now does not impress me. And on top of that, let's see. They face Nebraska, then Northwestern, they face Michigan State, Indiana. They still got to take on both Penn State and Ohio State. That is the way you finish your schedule, is 2 of your last 3. And we joked about it when we were previewing this game, is like Michigan could very easily also lose to Maryland towards the end of the season, and all of a sudden, they start off 5-0. Who says they can't lose the next, like, out of the 7 games left, 5 out of 7? So I wasn't impressed with the Michigan win, but hey, they did what they were supposed to do, and it was to win a game.
All right. Moving on to a game that I loved. I think you loved them too. This was their biggest game of their life, of their school program. Cincinnati versus Notre Dame. Ooh, that number 9. That number 9 ain't number 9 no more. Notre Dame, bro, they've been frauds for a minute now. They just needed to find the right opponent. They beat Wisconsin. That was not a good win. They beat Purdue. That is not a good win. They beat Toledo. Not a good win. They beat Florida State. Not a good win. They beat nobody. Wisconsin, Cincinnati, I hope this helps their case because they still went on the road to a hostile environment during their undefeated stretch as well, because Notre Dame was undefeated. And they beat the brakes off of them. The final score is not indicative of what was going on. Their defense was absolutely balling. I think 3 quarterbacks played for Notre Dame. That's how confused they got. I just got to recheck this real quick. I think 3 dudes threw a pass for Notre Dame. That's because none of them, and 2 of those 3 threw picks. So none of them could figure Cincinnati out. Cincinnati has a fantastic defense. They're a top 5 defense in the country. They got NFL players. They got NFL Kobe Bryant. They got their own Kobe Bryant, not the Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, the legend. Rest in peace. But they got Kobe Bryant spelled differently. But that man is a baller. He's a corner, great player. They have some great rushers. They have Desmond Ridder, a solid veteran college QB. They have some weapons. They have a great tight end. They have some receivers. They have speed. They have the running back that transferred from Alabama. They have a very good head coach. So this team has responded, and I hope they don't get discredited. But Notre Dame is exactly what people figured out they were. Florida State, I cannot believe they almost lost to Florida State week 1. And that should have told us everything we need to know. Florida State is straight booty, and Notre Dame ain't that much behind them. This will not be the only loss that Notre Dame sustains. And matter of fact, their schedule gets not daunting. They're going to lose a couple more games, in my opinion. In Cincinnati, we're going to get into the rankings in a bit, but they are now ranked 5th in the country. So at number 3 and number 4, Iowa, Penn State play each other. So someone's obviously going to lose that game, which means if Cincinnati takes care of business, we're going to get into this in a bit. Would it be the first time a non-Power 5 team is in the playoff rankings? I don't know that for sure. I think that's probably the case, where it would be the first time where a non-Power 5 team is actually in the top 4.
No, wasn't.
I don't think UCF was ever in the top 4.
Wait, what conference is Mississippi State in?
SEC, bro. Come on, man.
Never mind. Yeah. Then easily.
Brain freeze.
I was thinking about the Dak year where they're just going. Dak was going crazy.
No, they were ranked, I think, in the top 4, but then they lost Alabama.
Yeah, they were ranked number 1 that time.
Oh, I think they were ranked number 1. Yeah, you're right.
That's why they came.
I see why, because Mississippi State, we don't really see them as like a big team nowadays. That's probably why I see. But yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think if Cincinnati ends up being ranked at all at any moment, they will be the first team that's ranked in the top 4 at any moment of time. That's not a Power 5 team ever. So that itself would be, in my opinion, a very huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Okay, your thoughts on the game?
So my thoughts on this game are, I've been riding Cincinnati. I said, yeah, you got to give this team a chance because they deserved it for the last 2 years. This was supposed to be the biggest game. This is what they're probably looking forward to since the preseason. But I want to bring up the fact that, if they don't get ranked, I hope they make the playoffs simply for the fact that, last year, New Year's Day, Peach Bowl, they're up 24-10 on Georgia. Right? That's when you should have been like, yo, we should probably watch out for this team next year. Be like, yeah, they gave Georgia some trouble. And we're talking about Georgia as, probably it's probably with maturity, Georgia's getting better, et cetera, all that fun fact. But I think we should have been watching Cincinnati from that start because they were up 24-10 on a team that we rank very highly this year. I'm glad they got their dues. I'm glad that they're ranked 5 now, which I said in the beginning. I thought they should have been ranked 4. They should before Penn State and Iowa have been going off. I think what was it like week 3 when was it week 3 when Ohio State lost?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right?
Yeah, it was.
And then we did our own rankings. I was like, yeah, Cincinnati should be in the top 4. Before the Penn State, Iowa, all that thing happened. And I still think, yeah, they will. I'm hoping they make the top 4 by the end of the season. But just they showed up when they had to show up. They knew this was going to be their biggest game. If they wanted to make the college football playoffs, they had to beat the college darling Notre Dame. They did it, and that's the end of it. Is hey, they came on. They showed up for business and they performed.
Now we get to the game that everyone was sucking. I will add myself to that conversation. I sucked this team. What a mistake. I'm gonna say this right now, and I will openly do this for the rest of my existence. I will either bet on Alabama or not bet on the game. I will never again bet against these guys. Ever again. Ole Miss, they had a shot, and that was right in the opening drive. But when I found out that Bingo, I can't remember the live receiver's last name, was not playing, one of their best receivers was not playing, I'm like, yo, this is not a good start. The spread actually moved up after that news came out, but obviously people's bets were already in, so it was too late. But regardless, I still felt they could give them a fight. When they went for it on 4th down in the opening drive at Alabama's 5-yard line, and they didn't convert it.
Yeah.
I give Lane Kiffin credit. People keep hating on him. I give him credit that he knew that I have to score nearly every time, and not field goals, touchdowns, to keep this game close or to even try to win this game. I think some of the 4th downs that he went for on his own opposing field, those are egregious. You should not be doing that. But he did go for a couple ones in Alabama territory that I was like, okay, that makes sense. But not converting those 4th downs, that was it. And when Alabama got the ball, you saw it. You saw the distinct advantage. Their O-line against their D-line is just different. They just have men. They're college kids. They're all college kids. But they're bigger, stronger, faster. And that's all that matters. They're not going to be able to block them. They can't get off of them. And that's it. That's why Georgia, in my opinion, is the only team that can battle them in the trenches. And if you can't do that, you have no chance. So that's why my takeaway from this game was, if you're going to try to beat the bully, just silently try to do it. Lane Kiffin, you are now added to the list of coaches that have not beaten Nick Saban, and everyone tried to be like, yo, I'm going to be the first one on this. Ole Miss can do it. They're going to beat them. I was one of them. I thought they could keep it close. I don't know why I thought they could beat them, but Alabama, listen, man, this is just not the same old, and they just keep on churning.
I mean, I picked them outright simply for the fact that I wanted to ride the Ole Miss wave.
I think. Oh, one more thing. I think Bryce Young just won the Heisman.
I was gonna say that as well. It's so Jonathan Mingo was out. He's in a booth.
Mingo, my bad. Mingo, the receiver.
Right, and this is just from the Tulane game. I understand it's Tulane, but his production value: 6 catches, 136 yards for a TD, and that you're missing that. You're missing that kind of guy. And so obviously when he went for it on the first drive on his side, on the opponent's side of the field for 4th down, respect, because you get that, you boost your entire.
That was a long drive, like 7 minutes too. That long drive.
Exactly. So like you get that 4th down conversion, you boost the confidence of your entire team. So I understood why he did that. I don't understand why
I agree with that. That time when he went for it, I agreed with it.
I don't understand the other times he went for it.
Yeah, some of them.
But it's understandable. You're missing your best wide receiver. You want to put up as many points as you can, but at the end of it, not Florida, Alabama just taught you the same. If that was ever their first game that they've ever watched in football, learned the most important thing about football is you win the game in the trenches.
Yep.
And God damn,
I
those
know this
boys
as
in
an NFL
Alabama.
fan. As an NFL fan, I go through this every week. It
Those
don't matter if it's high school, college, or the pros. If you have the meat and potatoes, then you can eat your cake. Eat your protein first, and that's exactly what your receiver is. You can have all the flashy toys, all the ice cream, all the cake, whatever. If you don't have those beef monsters in the middle that have protect the QB and get after the QB, you have no chance.
man, we talk about it every week with my Giants. They got all the weapons. They got no one on offensive line. It's exactly Alabama produces offensive linemen like a damn factory. And those guys are the ones that they're never going to get the credit because they're offensive linemen. They don't got stats. The only time that they're brought up is if they cause a costly penalty.
Yeah.
Right.
Evan Neal. I know he's going to be a top 10 pick. So.
Yeah, no, those boys. Yes, the score says 42-21.
It was not that close.
One, it was not that close. Two, we're always going to talk about Bryce Young. Oh, Bryce Young has been great at quarterback. Meacham, we have all these weapons. The game was won by the offensive line. It's that as simple as that. What was the rushing numbers? Because that is the easiest way to indicate how much. Yeah.
I think the running back Anderson had like 4 touchdowns.
Robinson. 36 carries, 171 yards, 4 TDs. Those 4 TDs.
There you go.
Those 4 TDs
are to throw it. They don't need to throw it. They're just a doggy right in the middle, doggy right to your face.
Yeah, no, those TDs were all for the offensive linemen because they
the biggest message here was bet Alabama, and if you're wrong, you can live with it. Because when you pick against them and you get dogged, it feels like true pain because you know you have no chance. At least when you pick Alabama, you know that at any moment you can possibly win. But if you pick against them, oh my God, that was the most painful wager I may have ever made in my life. Trying to pray that Ole Miss did something. Now we get to top 3 upset. Oregon, I think, is done now. Oregon plays Stanford. OT game. I know we both felt that there was a chance that Stanford could win this game. I definitely felt that. The points, of course, but the main thing here was that ending, that fourth quarter, when you're up, I think they were up 7. They had a 91% chance of victory before that Thibodeau targeting, and that changed everything. They had 3 personal fouls / targeting, pass interference penalties in that final drive that gave Stanford the ability to tie the game, including one in the end zone. And then OT happened. And, bro, Oregon's defense is solid. They just do not have the quarterback. They don't have the skill players. That's why I was shocked they beat Ohio State. But overall, Stanford, hey, they have obviously David Shaw, one of the best coaches, constantly spits out NFL quarterbacks, constantly has NFL talent on his team. But Oregon, it doesn't look good for the Pac-12, and they cannot afford now going forward to slip up at all, even though I already feel their playoff chances are done.
I mean, I think, Oregon had to win this game. Oregon had to go undefeated. It's the same way we're talking about UCLA. If they want to be the college darlings.
They're done too. They're done. They're done.
Exactly my point. It was like they would have had to go undefeated. That's how important. Like, great. We might be talking about 2 teams from the SEC, like we always are, and
the Big Ten winner. And then after that, I don't know.
Yeah, and in this case, we can literally easily be talking about 2 SEC teams, Georgia, Alabama. And in a hypothetical sense, if Ohio State goes undefeated, we could be talking about 2 Big Ten teams, right? Because if depending on the winner of 3 and 4, when we discuss that tomorrow, they're more than likely to go undefeated and have one of those spots, right? So we can easily be talking about two Big Ten, two SEC teams, and that's where Oregon fucked up. Is they lost, and it sucks, but you probably just lost your playoff chances. But yeah, no, the drive itself, it was the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yep.
You
They had a 90. I think Oregon. I read something that showed they had a 91% chance of winning that game.
They did, and it was a 91% chance, and it was an 87-yard drive in the last 2 minutes. So the first penalty was the targeting. McKee is hitting the ribs by Thibodeau. They call it a targeting. The second penalty was roughing the passer, and the third penalty is a holding in the end zone, which gives them a second. Which gives them, I think they're targeting someone on the right end.
That was not a penalty either. That was straight bullshit.
Yeah,
I remember.
That holding was bullshit. It was they were targeting in the right side of the end zone. They called the holding, then they go back to the left side, score that touchdown.
Yep, bullshit.
And it was just wild. It's just they go to OT, and they pull out OT. It just, as good as your defense can be, as good as your defense did play, they're the reason that you lost at the end. But your offense can't score. It's not the old Ohio, Oregon offense where we just expect them to drop points everywhere. And I guess for them it's just you guys lost, and you guys probably lost your playoff chances right there.
All right, now the final game that we're going to be discussing here. This game was very great to watch. I don't know how Oklahoma just keeps hanging on for dear life at this point. Oklahoma, bro, they're the cardiac kids at this point. That's what I'm gonna call them. Oklahoma 37, Kansas State 31. We thought Skylar Thompson was out for the season. We thought Will Howard was out for the season. Guess what? Skylar Thompson plays. That's why the one thing I despise about college football, you have no idea who's gonna be playing, who's injured, who isn't. They don't tell you anything. Skylar Thompson plays and he balls out. Throws for over 70%, 3 touchdowns, and the Kansas State is known for running the ball. They were not successful running the ball at all, but they were very successful throwing it. And obviously, Oklahoma, they've lost to Kansas State the last 2 times. That's why they've not made the playoffs, because of those 2 instances. Actually, no, 2 years ago they were able to, because Jalen Hurts was able to get them in. But last year they lost and they couldn't overcome it. This game at halftime, it was a close game, 13-10, Oklahoma. Then Oklahoma took the lead, 24-17, going to the fourth quarter, and then Kansas State battled back again. This, unlike the other games Oklahoma played, at least they played a very good team with their starting QB back, and they won. They scored 37 points. They actually had some offense this time, but still, Oklahoma has not dominated offensively at all. And I do not count the game against West Carolina. I will keep saying that. That 76-0 game does not even count in my opinion. So Oklahoma, they're scoring decent. Like they're averaging probably, if you discount that game, like what, 28, 30 points a game, which for them is pretty bad. So Oklahoma survives. They win. They're still ranked 6th in the country. No, I think they went up, right? I think right now, if you look at the rankings.
No, they're I think they stayed. They stayed.
Yeah, they're 6th in the country. They stayed where they were. They were 6th. That they're staying at 6, and they win it's a very good game for them. The beating their Kansas State with their starting quarterback was a very good win for them, even though they squeaked it out.
I mean, I still don't feel good about Oklahoma. Even though,
of course, that's why I call them cardiac kids. You keep playing with fire, you will get burned eventually.
Which we will be talking about tomorrow.
Yep.
But in this case, it's just. Was it this game or was it the game prior that they were calling for Rattler's backup to play?
It was the game against West Virginia. They were saying, Rattler, get out.
Yeah, and then, he showed.
Give him credit. He led the game-winning field goal drive.
He led the game-winning field goal drive there. He played pretty well here. He still has the turnover issues. It's just, nothing impressed me about Oklahoma. Because let's be honest, they could have easily lost this game. What was it? They, they get I was just looking at the play-by-play is, they give up a kickoff return to Kansas State. Kansas State is nearly back in it, and you're just like, oh, here we go again, because Oklahoma just couldn't. They're not the same team. Yeah, you discount that win again, that they won 76-0, right? But week one, they had a difficulty beating Tulane 40-35. They had to come back there. Was just last week was Virginia 16-13. It's just, that they're just not that good anymore. I had Rattler winning Heisman. That's not going to happen. It's just, I watched this game and I wasn't impressed at all.
And I think that's the same story we've been saying for the past couple of weeks with Oklahoma. Not impressed at all. Yet they're still surviving. I think there's a couple of teams out there. We will go over that tomorrow, that are doing just that. They are surviving. They're holding on to those rankings, but I feel they are temporary placeholders for other teams. Now, a final thing. Let's go over some of these rankings. I do not have any problem with the top four at all. I would say overall, I think this is fine. I would say this is fine. In my opinion, Notre Dame should not be ranked. I'll be dead honest. Their best win is against Wisconsin, which is absolutely garbage. Notre Dame should not be ranked. They should. How is Notre Dame ranked over Kentucky? Kentucky's undefeated, and they just beat Florida. That's the biggest, most egregious. Bro, Notre Dame should not be ranked. I'm sorry. Not just top 14. They shouldn't be ranked. Arkansas dropping to 13. That's fine. I'm fine with Michigan State where they are. BYU, Michigan at all these games. Wake Forest, well deserved. Texas could be a little bit higher with the way they're. I would definitely rank Texas over Auburn. But all in all, I don't have any real problems with this. The most egregious problem I have with this list is the fact that Notre Dame is 14. They should not be ranked at all.
I mean, yeah, the way that Notre Dame has played compared to the other one-loss teams, yeah,
their best win is against a 1-3 Wisconsin. That's their best win.
Exactly, and compared to them to the other 4-1 teams, Ohio State lost to Oregon. Oregon, it then in turn loses to Stanford, but they fell from 3-8, which is fine where they are, which makes it understandable why Ohio State moved up. And, we just talked about Arkansas.
Stanford is better than Notre Dame, and Stanford's not even ranked, if I'm not mistaken.
They're not.
Yeah, Stanford's better than Notre Dame. And they play each other at the end of the season. They're a mollywop them.
Oh, that's going to be a good game.
Just to prove my point right now.
That's going to be a good game for Stanford. But, yeah, no. Just ranking overall, I don't have an issue with it. Jumping way ahead. It's just we're going to see a great game this weekend with number 3 and number 4. That's going to have huge implication on how Cincinnati is viewed in the future.
But this is the thing. Let's say 3 and 4, it's a very great game, very close game, and one of the teams loses a very close game. If they don't put Cincinnati above that team that loses, I think that will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Right there.
And yeah, that's why I say it has huge implications on the rankings. Is it say 3 whoops 4 so badly, then Cincinnati has a chance. But if it's down to a field goal, I'm pretty sure the top 4 will stay the way the top 4 is, because anyone outside the top 4 other than Cincinnati hasn't really been impressive. And like we said with Ohio State is, hey, if they
but that's the right thing though, Chetan, just to stop you real quick. If Oklahoma beats Texas and they stay undefeated, I think they'll put Oklahoma back in the top 4.
So you said if Oklahoma beats Texas and then
whichever team loses 3-4, they'll put them back in the top 4, because they will have been a much better opponent than anyone that he's being what they call it, that Cincinnati's being.
So this week actually has a lot of implication on.
This week is fantastic. This week may not look like last week, but in my opinion, it's just as good.
I think week might be better.
Maybe better. I agree. Yep.
Because of the 3-4 matchup.
3-4 matchup. It's a playoff game.
It's like, how often do we get that one in the middle of a season?
Yeah, true.
So other than that, I don't have any gripes with this.
Yeah, I think we both agree that the list is pretty fair, pretty solid. The only thing I despise is that Notre Dame is ranked, because how can you rank them 14th after what they've shown you? So,
I mean, on top of that, at Florida at 20, we discussed Florida very heavily in the beginning of the season.
At least they lost to a good Kentucky team on the road, and they almost beat Alabama. So I can live with that, being still ranked. They are way better than Notre Dame, in my opinion. If Notre Dame played at Florida, Florida will kill them, in my opinion. Probably. Hypothetically. But we will not get to see that. But we will get to see week 6, which is going to come up this week, obviously. We have NFL kicking off tomorrow. Rams, Seattle. What a divisional matchup we have. NBA starts in less than 2 weeks. In 2 weeks on Wednesday, every single team basically will have played, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's when all the big games, that's when, Wednesdays and Fridays are the big days for NBA, where all the teams play ESPN games, etc. And we have the baseball playoffs. I'm sorry, Chetan, we'll get into this tomorrow, but I know yesterday we gave out the Red Sox as our best play, and unfortunately for one of our brothers here, that did not work out in his favor. But we care about results. I'm sorry, but Yankees lost. Everyone else won, besides our fellow brother here, Chetan. But we will go over the entire postseason for MLB tomorrow, as well as week 6 of college football. But until then, deuces.